Well, after several tests, I think maybe it's going to work this time.
Maybe.
Maybe so.
Maybe so.
Maybe so. I know one thing from the test that we did a minute ago. When I went to sit down, I know they saw this mark on my head where I banged my head again.
That's because you're always banging your head.
Yeah. So, what's your point?
I'm going to buy you a helmet just to live.
Well, I banged this one, which reminds me of something. I banged this spot that I have on my head now is I banged on the holder that holds the wand in the shower. You told me that I needed a helmet to take a shower.
Yeah.
Well, that was 2 days ago, and I haven't banged my head since.
Woohoo! Progress.
Well, a lot of things have changed since the last time we talked to you, haven't they, dear?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think for the better.
In the end, it was for the better.
At first, it wasn't.
No, at first it was a panic situation. I guess, in a way, and it's partially our fault.
Yes, we misunderstood.
We misunderstood. But we got kicked out of the Beaver Lake Corps of Engineer Parks.
For 7 days.
For 7 days. We always understood that as long as you were away from one particular campground for, what, 17 days or something like that?
Well, the way I understood the rule was you could stay 14 days and then you moved to another camp for 14. I mean, you could go to another camp 14 days as long as you stayed out of the first one for 17 days. So we, as you know, had planned on spending our entire summer in the Beaver Lake system. And the Beaver Lake system is made up of, like, I don't know, 12 campgrounds?
11 or 12 altogether.
And so we thought, we're good.
Yeah. Yeah,
because we can bounce from campground to campground and maintain the rules and do exactly what the rule book said per our understanding of it.
Well, the problem though arose, and of course I need to back up a little bit. One reason why we were staying close to home,
right,
was mainly for two reasons. The first and foremost was I was still have my part-time job, and I was going to stay at that job through October.
Right.
The next thing was I've got several music gigs scheduled in the Northwest Arkansas region, and I wanted to be close by in order to take care of those.
Right.
So those were the two reasons why we were staying around there. Well, when was it? Last Friday?
Yes.
Yeah, a week last Friday. Today is Friday, so it was a week ago today. And I don't even know what the date is today.
This is the 14th, Flag Day.
This is the 14th, Flag Day? Awesome. Fantastic. So, the Friday before, which would have been the 7th, right?
Yes.
Yeah. There were two major things that happened that day, which, for one thing, I took off work that day, and the reason why, and we've talked about this before, I am a diabetic. I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. Diabetes. Now, if I went to the doctor and said, "Hey, I just mispronounced diabetes," you know what he'd say? That's cause that there diabetes. It's causing you to do that. Because that's the thing. Once you become a type 2 diabetic, and you all know this out there, any ache and pain, any problem that you have from that point forward, the doctor's going to blame it on diabetes, right? That's what they always do.
Anyway.
The doctor even blamed my cataract on diabetes, yet I have a friend that's just a tad older than me that is not a diabetic, and he had worse cataracts than me. So, hey, but since I have diabetes, it's all diabetes' fault. But I'll talk about that another time.
New topic.
So, but what happened last Friday, I took off work because I do have a boogered up foot. I was in a real bad car wreck back in 2000.
2000.
Yeah. And when I saw the wreck getting ready to happen, it was a head-on collision, and I was riding as a passenger in a 1934 Ford Street Rod, and we weren't going very fast at all. In fact, we just pulled out, but a person coming towards us, well, was high on drugs, to be honest with you, and they passed out at the wheel and glanced off of parked cars on the other side of the street and came over and hit us head on, and they were doing around 50 miles an hour. when I saw the wreck starting to happen, I uttered a couple of colorful metaphors, as Spock would say on Star Trek.
As Spock says.
And I covered my face with my elbow, and I pressed my feet hard to the floor to cushion the blow. At least that's what I thought. Well, when the impact happened, it snapped my right foot, broke it, and it literally broke it sideways. It's like if you were to take your foot and lay it up on 2 blocks and then on 1 block right in the center, and then do that. That's what it did to my foot. So you know, it took them a while to get it back together. In fact, I still have 5 screws in this foot to that day, my right foot. Well, complications arose later on. They never could get the big toe to lay down. And we were at Las Vegas one year, and I didn't realize this was the first time we'd ever been to Vegas, and I didn't realize how much walking I'd be doing. And I brought the wrong shoes. And when I got back to the room one evening, I had a blister on the bottom of my foot right there, as big around as a coffee cup.
Yeah.
And I nursed that thing and nursed that thing, and I went to a wound specialist, and they nursed it, and we'll talk about that another time too. I don't have much use for wound specialists, but to make a long story short, after about 9 months to a year, after I did everything that the wound specialist told me to do, I still ended up with a major infection in that foot, and I ended up losing about 25% of my right foot.
Right.
Right. Well, I've had to take care of that foot all this time, you know, and be real careful. Well, last Friday, all of a sudden things flared up, and I ended up with a small sore on the bottom of my foot. But all of a sudden my foot started turning all kinds of pretty colors. So I took Friday off because I didn't know if I was going to end up going to the emergency room or not that day. And
we were close.
Right, we were close. And so then, with that on our minds, because of my foot, and by the way, the foot is doing wonderful now because of techniques that I've learned, and we'll talk about that in a future video too. And these are all things that I did and things that I've learned from past experience. But after all that, the ranger comes driving by while we're at the campground, and Deb goes out to talk to him.
I went out to talk to him because the water,
Yeah.
the lake water was coming up due to the flooding, and I went out to talk to him because the campsites next to us had water coming in. So we were up on a hill, so it really wouldn't have affected us unless it rose 10 feet, which it wasn't going to. But the electricity, I was concerned that if they shut off these 3, they might shut off us as well.
Right.
And we would have to move.
Right.
And so I went out to talk to him to see what that might entail for us.
And then during the
Then
course
he
of the
says,
conversation,
I've been meaning to stop and talk to you guys anyway.
yeah, turns out that you're only supposed to, and this is true of any Corps of Engineer campground district, I guess is the best way to say
guess,
that. Yeah.
you know, it's one, because Beaver Lake is a entity.
It's its own entity of Corps of Engineer Parks.
Then you might go to, right now,
Table Rock, which
Lake
is where we're at now,
is another entity, and it has 6 or 7 campgrounds.
Yeah.
So that was a new rule for us.
Right. But this is the rule. You're only allowed to stay, like for instance, when we're at Beaver Lake campgrounds, we're only allowed to stay there for 2 weeks. Then we have to be away from the Beaver Lake area and those Corps of Engineer campgrounds for 7 days. Then we can come back for 2 weeks. And that supposedly holds true of any Corps of Engineer district at any given lake, you know, like Table Rock Lake, Bull Shoals Lake, Beaver Lake.
Okeechobee. How do you pronounce that one in Florida?
Okeechobee, Lake Okeechobee in Florida. There's 3 core campgrounds around Lake Okeechobee, and we at one time thought that, hey, we could spend the entire winter just at Lake Okeechobee, and now we know that's not true. Right. So all of a sudden because we had reservations stacked up clear into September, right?
To the middle of September,
right,
yes.
Right. So we had to drop back and punt right quick and cancel some reservations because we didn't want to break the rules. And let me point this out real quick. Let me say this right now. The ranger was very, very nice.
Oh, yes.
Yes. And very accommodating and very understanding. And we told him right out of the chute, we do not want to break any rules. We don't want to be one of those kind of folks. And he said, well, you guys are great campers. And part of the problem was because our trailer stands out so much because it's bright red, he said all the rangers said they've been seeing you here and there and everywhere. So there you go. That's what happened.
That's what happened.
All right. So
being unique was not a good thing at that point,
No.
I guess.
Yeah.
No, we want to follow the rules.
we want to follow the rules. And so here's where we're at now.
What we were forced to do.
Yeah. Well, forced.
Well, no, but it made a decision for us.
I'm officially retired.
Yes, as of last
Yeah.
Saturday.
We didn't reach our financial goals,
No.
and it's going to take longer to get there because of that. But I'm officially retired now.
Right.
I haven't worked. Well, I haven't worked at my regular job for the last week.
Paying job.
Yeah, the one that got me a paycheck.
You've been doing Deb's job.
So I've been doing Deb's jobs. Yeah. But anyway, and plus I needed to settle down and devote as much time as possible to healing my foot. And today compared to what it was a week ago, it is literally night and day.
I would say we've got 90% improvement.
Yeah, 90% improvement.
We're to the point now where we're not worried, and I'm not waking up in the middle of the night. Are you trilling? Are you running a fever?
Well, one thing that I do monitor, that's kind of a gauge for us, is I keep track of my blood sugar, and I monitor my blood sugar often. And the thing about it is, as long as I don't have to go out of my way to control my blood sugar, if it gets harder to control, then I know that I've got something going on that I better address. But my blood sugar remained constant the whole time, and that's one of the gauges that I use. Of course, I did not run any kind of a fever, and the foot didn't swell up or anything. It just simply started turning some ugly colors. Yeah.
Well, purple's just not a color you want to see on your foot.
Purple's not a color you want to see on the foot.
No.
But keep in mind, I still have 5 screws in that foot. And I am not one to talk about the physical part, and because I don't like, how do I put this? I don't want
to appear weak.
And I'm not weak. And I don't want people to treat me as I'm weak, because I am not weak. I honestly feel that there's lots of folks out there that listen too much to what people tell them. Like, we get calls from Humana all the time wanting to set us up with an in-home nurse that comes by and see us now and then. They're starting to treat us like we're old.
And I'm about to the point to say, come on out. We're at such and such campground, and if you catch me not on my bike or my kayak, come on, we'll do an in-home health thing. It's ridiculous.
Or we could say something like, hey, we're going kayaking today. If that nurse wants to bring a kayak out and kayak alongside us and do all these tests while we're out there kayaking. Or we could say, hey, today is our bike riding day. We're going to be on such and such bike trail. Bring the nurse, send the nurse out, put her on him or her on a bike.
Okay.
And
I
have
guess
them follow us.
what we're saying, we had some issues. We did overcome them.
Yes.
And we're happy about it.
Yes. Yes.
We are now at a beautiful campsite up in Missouri.
One more thing.
Yes.
When it comes to healing, colloidal silver, Epsom salt. Colloidal silver, Epsom salt. And we'll talk about that at another time.
Yes, Dr. Adkins.
Yeah, and well, we'll talk about that at another time. Now, I'm not telling you to drop your doctor and all that stuff if you've got a problem like this. That I am not saying that at all. Let me clarify that right now. But there are things that you can do that they might poo-poo, but I got excellent results. So that's all I'm going to say about that. Okay. Doctors are there to make sure, as far as I'm concerned, make sure that my blood sugar ain't out of whack, my blood pressure ain't out of whack, and to do my blood test for me every 90 days and tell me that everything is okay, And so far, that's the way it's been for quite some time. Right?
That's right.
Exactly. Same with you.
Well, wow.
Yeah.
The picture of hell.
Okay, enough of that.
Enough of that.
We're at a beautiful campground.
Yes.
We're now sitting in our gazebo, and I have to say that correctly now because we were corrected because
a tent.
We referred to it as a tent, and this is not a tent.
It's a gazebo.
It's a gazebo.
It's actually
the gazelle gazebo.
In room.
Yeah, and this is our living room.
Yeah.
This is our living room. This is what we use as our living room. You can't see it right now, and I don't want to get up and spin the camera, but we got our own little stereo system sitting right over here. We can have music if we want.
We got a fan going.
We got a fan. We don't have the fan going right now because we don't need it, because the weather is unseasonably cool at the moment.
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
Since we don't have our air conditioner.
Exactly. But we're at a beautiful campground. This place is absolutely gorgeous, folks. It's I'm not going to mention the name of it yet, but it is a gorgeous campground. It's about 20 minutes south of Branson, Missouri, on Table Rock Lake. It's on a cove that comes in off of Table Rock Lake. All of the sites are gorgeous sites. I didn't see a single site that I wouldn't want to stay in.
It's trees. It's terraced down the hillside
Right.
to the lake, so
Yeah.
we have a view of the lake, you know, in between the trees.
Right. Yeah, we got a view of the lake.
But we pulled in here, and it was level enough that we were able to set up very quickly.
Yeah.
Easily.
Yeah.
And 30 amp service at most of them.
There's a few that have 50, but
yeah.
most of them are 30.
Most
of them are 30 here.
And picnic table, fire pit.
All of the sites are paved. It looked like when we drove through. It looked like all the campsites are paved where you back your rig into or drive in. There's a few pull through sites.
Yeah.
And there's a sign as you pull in that says "Do not feed the bears."
You know what that means.
Yeah, I'm going to see if I can find an Academy Sports and get me a trail cam, and I'm going to put some food out. We got woods right behind us right here, folks.
You can't feed the bears.
Oh,
You can put out a trail cam, but you can't put food out. The rules.
That's true. That did, and I got to follow the rules.
Yes.
Well, but there's a chance that I might be able to, if I knew exactly
I'm sure
where
you will find some kind of wildlife if you have a trail cam.
Well,
see.
the time to get a trail cam is nearing. Right,
Yes,
because
it is.
we're in an area where there's possibly bears. I'm sure that they don't see them too often. I don't see anybody going out of the way around here to keep their food stored away. And I don't see the trash cans with bear protection
Locks,
around
no.
them like we saw at Smoky Mountain National Forest,
Right.
you know, when we were there. But one quick thing too about the trailer, pulling it up here with the van. I had forgotten how, because it's been a little while since we've been to the Branson area, I'd forgotten just how hilly and mountainy this area was. And most of the roads that we took to get up here were secondary type roads. And the van did awesome. The trailer did awesome.
It was quite the roller coaster.
Yeah,
ride.
yeah.
Uphill and down, uphill and
Yeah,
down.
uphill and down. Yeah, it was interesting. And
But everything did fine.
and that was the longest trip that Delilah took.
Yes.
The longest trip that Delilah took. And she whined a little bit. We have a carrier that we keep her in. We tried to let her out once, but immediately she tried to get out of Deb's arms and jump up underneath the dash. Well, we can't have that.
No, we've got to do a little more training.
A little more
there.
training. But she's doing a whole lot better when it comes to being at a different campsite very
Yes.
often. You know, she's doing a whole lot better, and she doesn't act nervous when she comes out. In fact, she's starting to get a little
Too brave.
yeah, a little too brave. Yeah.
Like she got out
Yeah.
today when you cracked the door.
Yeah, I know. I just
Immediately
cracked the
ran
door
out.
and ran out. But at least she stayed close to the trailer, and we was able to get her again with no problem.
So-
She minds you a lot better than she does me.
Well, of course she does. She knows who feeds
I
her.
mind you a lot better than.
You know who feeds you.
By the way, those waffles this morning were awesome.
You know that there used to be a movie said how to train your husband or dog.
Anyway.
Anyway.
All right, folks. That's about it for now. We're gonna go ahead and shut her down, I guess. Is there
Yes.
anything else we need to say?
No, not
But anyway,
really.
I'm officially retired now. We're not where we wanted to be financially, but we're going to be fine.
We're not in the Beaver Lake system.
We're
for the
not in
next
the Beaver
7
Lake
days.
system for right now. Yeah, I'm excited. Actually, we're going to go back to the Beaver Lake system after we're here for 7 days, right?
Yes, because you have a music gig.
Because I have a music gig in Bentonville on the square, June the 22nd. If you happen to be visiting Bentonville, Arkansas on June the 22nd, come by the farmers market on the square that morning, and I will be on the southeast corner playing music. We're going to have 2 musicians there. Another one will be on the northwest corner, and I will be on the southeast corner playing music on Saturday, the 22nd of June. So if you happen to be in the area, come by and say hi, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And something else, we're coming up on a wedding anniversary.
Yes.
Yeah.
We are.
Do you remember how many years? Because I do.
48.
Did you have to think?
I had to do the math.
Oh.
Sorry.
48
Baby,
years.
it feels like yesterday.
Exactly. I'm still on my honeymoon, in case y'all didn't know that. Right?
Right.
Right. That kind of irritates her now and then. Anyway, she keeps saying, you know, I want to be your buddy, but you keep throwing in all this other stuff that you want to do. And I said, well, that's what makes you the perfect buddy, right?
Right.
That's probably as far as we better go
Yes.
on that.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is a family show.
Yes, that's correct. And also July 3rd is our anniversary, and we will be in an area at the time at a campground where in the past we've had excellent service there. I'm strongly considering going live that day on July 3rd and singing a bunch of ooey gooey love songs. So we'll keep you posted. If you're all interested in doing that, let us know if you'd like to watch it. But I'm considering doing that, and I will have to double check and make sure the service is as good as it was before. But we've always had excellent service there. We have no trouble streaming Netflix or anything from that.
Well, we
from
were
that
in a
spot.
different section.
That's true. We were up a little bit higher on the hill, but I don't think there'll be that much difference
May
right
not
there.
be.
But we'll see. Anyway, we're going to let you go, folks. We'll show you more about this campground here in a couple of days or so. We're going to be here for a few days. Right now, we're just enjoying the heck out of it. And we're going to be at Bull Shoals Lake at a campground here in a couple of weeks or so, and we'll show you all about that. We're excited about seeing that.
Yes, we
aren't
are.
we? Yeah.
Yes.
And then we also heard about another Corps of Engineer campground that's on the Buffalo River.
Yeah.
And we're going to go check that one out. All these opportunities have opened up now that I'm not working anymore.
Now that we don't have to stay in one area.
Exactly.
It's exciting.
Exactly.
It's very
And you know what that
exciting.
means?
Freedom.
Yes. And what that also means is we're not camping.
We're living.
That's right. This is Bill and Deb.
Bye for now.
Bye.